Okay, a big issue that took place these last few years is the risk to pollinators based around corn planting and soybean planting, and in particular the association with the neonicotinoids, the seed treatments that we're using on corn and soybeans. There were 240 bee kill incidences that were confirmed by the Pest Management Regulatory Agency here in Ontario last year. That confirmed that 70% of those bees did have clothianidin, which is a seed treatment used on corn, on them, and it indicated that they most likely died from acute poisoning. So here in Ontario, we decided this coming year to further investigate that. We did set up best management practices. We suspect that some of the issue is coming from the new vacuum planters that growers are using that use vacuum to actually suck the seed through the planter, but also those vacuum planters require a lubricant, mainly talc or graphite, which is a fine powder. And we think that that powder is rubbing off the seed treatment of the seed, as well as because of these vacuum planters exhaust the air out, most likely exhausting that contaminated talc or graphite dust into the air and exposing pollinators that may be foraging along the perimeters of the field. So OMAFRA and MRA have developed best management practices based on reducing the risk during corn planting, which includes in particular communicating with beekeepers and knowing where those hives are, letting them know when the growers are planting and if they can actually take precautions to protect their bees. And as well, be aware that these products are potentially getting into the environment. How can you lessen that? And some of that would be try to choose and select when you're going to use them if you need them. Follow IPM more soundly, and also use less talc or graphite. Use what is required, because growers do tend to err on the side of caution and use lubricant just in case, where in some conditions they may need to use very little. And so any way of reducing the amount of contaminated dust coming off of those planters would be help. Of course, we know that that was just a start, and so here in Ontario this year, OMAF and MRA, as well as the University of Guelph, have worked together on a study to determine what are the routes of exposure that the bees and pollinators are being exposed to these neonicotinoids during corn planting. So we established sites here in Ontario during corn planting that we're monitoring weekly. Also looking for pollinators, not just the honeybees, and determine exactly where they are getting exposed. We're looking at soil, we're looking at water sources, we're looking at the pollen that they're collecting and the vegetation that took place during planting, as well as what was coming off of the vacuum planters and just being blown from the field. So lots of analysis to take place still, and no results are ready yet, but the research report is due October 31st, so by then we will have hopefully some answers, maybe some more questions, but it's our effort to get to the root of this issue and strengthen our best management practices so we reduce the risk to those pollinators.